In this video, we'll learn about the Autodesk Design Review tool, which is a tool that can be used to review the drawings, add markups, and share that markup. Now, to use that tool, I'll use the sheet set which we have created in this course. So I'll have this SSM final folder here. I'll just open this. And look at this, we have everything here. Now let's open this house plan DSD file. That's the sheet set file. Right click and open with AutoCAD. Now this will open the sheet set, and now I'll publish this sheet set, but not as a PDF file but as a DWF. So publish to DWF or DWF. Now let's go to desktop, SSM final, and here I'll save it. So houseplan.dwif and select. Now it will publish it in the background. So I'm publishing it as a DWF file because Autodesk Design Review tool can open the DWF files easily and the markups can be added there. So it will process it in the background, and in a moment it will show the bubble that the publishing job is done. So let's wait for that. And here we have it. So that is now published. Well, let's minimize the drawing and let's go to this DWF file. So here we have it. So that's the DWF file which we just now created. Now to open this file in the Autodesk Design Review tool, you need to have access to that one, and that's a completely free tool. You can go to the Autodesk website and install that tool. It's called Autodesk Design Review. And once it is properly installed, you will be able to open this DWF file. So now I'll double click on this and it will open this Autodesk Design Review tool. And look at this. So now this will open the drawing like this. So we have the layouts which we created. You need to go to this list view. It might open in this markups tab. So if it is in the markup tab, just go to list view and it will show you all the layouts that we have. So we right now have A01 plan, A02 elevation, and A03 foundation. So we have these three sheets. Now if you want to add markups here, then well, you can simply do that by these panels. So here we have these panels, and we have a lot of different tools like the formatting, callouts, and the draw tools, measure, as well as the stamp and symbols. Let's start by adding some callouts. So I'll select elevation, and here let's just zoom in a little bit. We don't have the foundation, but this call out is pointing to the foundation. We know that. So let's add that markup that we need to add a foundation, and the drafter simply forgot to do that, or whatever the reason might be. So we just want to remind the drafter to add that. So for that, I'll select this option, the rectangular call out. Now I'll make this rectangular call out right here, and just look at this. So this will create the bubble, and now the text. So here we'll add foundation here. Just click outside to complete this, and let's zoom out a little bit. So now we have added it, but even after adding this, you can still modify its location if you want. If it is not clear, you can just do that, or even you can modify the size of this cloud if that's something which you want. Maybe we just want to decrease the size of this cloud like this, maybe a little bit like this. There we have it. Now we want to add the foundation here. Now we have added this, but what about the text? Let's say that we want to change that also. The size of text is really very large, or maybe we want to change the color. For that, double click on the box, select the text. Now go to the formatting panel and look at this. We have this text formatting option. From here you can change the size of your text. Right now it is 15 points. You can select smaller value to make it small. You can change the colors to any of these predefined values. You can make it bold if you want. And now let's click here and look at this. So the formatting has changed. Now let's say that we want to reference this cloud to this part of this section view as well. Now for that, we'll add an arrow. So for that, I'll select this draw tool, and I'll select this line, and now I'll go to this point and I'll add it like this. But here we have a problem. When we are adding this line, this is a two-sided arrow. By default, it might look like a simple line also, but we only want it to start from a point and end at an arrowhead. Now for that, you can change the formatting from here for the line. So from here, just change it to none for one of the ends, and for the second end, you can select the type of arrowhead which you want. Now press escape. Let's select this arrow, get rid of that, so delete it. Now I'll go to the line again, click on this point right there, and now we have it here. So look at this, it is now pointing to this side as well. Maybe if you want to change the color of this, simply select it and change the color to red. If you want to change its width, well, you can do that as well, maybe to 1 point, or well, that's very small, that's very light, so I'll just change it to 2.25 points, and there we have it. So that's how you can add the formatting. If you want to add text, well, we have an option for this also. So let's add a text, and well, that's the text which we want to add here. Now maybe we want to include it in a cloud also to highlight this. For that, you can select this cloud option and just make a cloud like this. Well, we want that. Now that's something which you can do here, but once you do that, just look at this markup panel here. So we have this markup tab, and in this panel all of these markups are automatically added. So initially we added this add foundation here, that's the markup. If you click on that, it will take you to that view. We then added the line, then we added the text, and lastly we added the cloud. So as soon as you add any markup, it will simply show up here in this list, and along with this we have a lot of other information also. So let's select the first one, add foundation here. So that's the first markup which we added. Now with this markup we have these properties also, so these properties will be associated with the markup. So here's the label, add foundation here, and now if you want to add more notes, additional notes, not in the drawing but somewhere over here, so that the drafter can only see that and it simply keeps your drawing clean, and you want that, then you can add any additional note here. So maybe we want to add this note, review other changes in section view, and we want to change the status to for review. Now this markup is for review, and now we can save this drawing. Well, so you have now saved this drawing. Now this drawing can be sent to the drafter or the designer who has created this drawing, and he or she can simply open the drawing, see these markups, okay, and act upon those markups. So once those issues are resolved, they can go here on the status and change it to done. Well, there we have it. So that's done. So maybe they have completed that and they want to show the status like this, and then they'll just save the drawing and send it to the original reviewer. Then they will just check it, verify it, and when they are satisfied, they'll simply approve the drawing. Now before approving the drawing, let's say that the approver wants to check some of the dimensions of the drawing. So here we have the tools for that. Maybe he wants to check the length, so select the length option, and now look at this. So click on 2 points, and there we have it. That's 51 feet approximately. Well, we'll click on this point and then this point, and that's 15 feet, 4.6 inches approximately. So that's how you can check the length. If you want to check the angle, then select this option. Now select the first point, second point, third point, and press escape key, and there we have it. So that's 107 degrees. If you want to check another angle value, maybe here, and select these 2 points, press escape, and there we have it. That's 52 degrees angle. So in this way you can select different parameters here, and if you want to check the area, then you can simply go to the plan view or any other view where you want to check the area. Now I'll select the area, and you can check that as well. So here I'll just go to this room, and look at this. So that's 343 square feet approximately. Now in this case, the unit will be the default unit of your drawing, but for whatever reason, if you want to change that unit, you can do that simply from this measure panel. So expand the panel and select this option, 2D units and scale. Right now you can clearly see that the drawing unit is feet in inches. Well, maybe you can change it to meters if you want. But when you change it to meters, make sure that you change the display unit to similar value to avoid confusion. Then click on OK, and look at this. It simply changed to that value, 49480 meters square. So it's no longer showing the value in feet in inches. I'll just press Ctrl Z to get back to the original values. Now in the markups, These dimensions will be added additionally like this, but obviously these dimensions are only for your reference and you don't want to include in your final markup. So if that's the case, then you can select the dimension and right click and delete it. So you can simply delete these dimensions from your markup. But if you want to keep this here in the drawing, and if you want to add a note with this dimension or this angle in this case, then you can simply add it and add the note. Maybe we want to change this angle. There we have it. This should be 45 degrees or whatever angle you want that. Once again, we'll just change the status to for review, and we can save the drawing and send our drawing for review. Now, once all the review process is done and you're satisfied, you can add the stamp like approved. Maybe if you are sending a drawing for review, you can add this stamp also for review. So these stamps can be added to your drawing to avoid any accidental submissions of the drawing. For example, if your drawing is still in the review process, then you would definitely want to keep this for review stamp in your drawing so that anyone can simply recognize the type of drawing. Now in this case, I'll just decrease the size of this stamp. Now double click and select the text, and let's just decrease the size of this text as well. And there we have it. So you can add these kind of stems also, and you can do a lot of different things with this Autodesk Design Review tool. So that was all about Autodesk Design Review tool. In this video, I'll tell you about another enhanced feature of AutoCAD 2019, and that is shared views. So now you can share your drawing views as well as your complete drawing with any user using a simple link, and the user can log into their Autodesk account and view the markups, changes, comments and so on, and they can add their own input as well. But if the user does not have access to Autodesk account, and if the user simply wants to see the drawing, then they can open the link in a browser and see the drawings, views, properties and so on. So we'll learn about that now. So here we have this simple drawing sample office plan. Now I'm going to share this drawing and all of its views. For that, I'll go to Collaborate tab. Here I'll select this shared view. So that's the new icon that has been added on the Collaborate tab. Here you can see that this shared view palette is completely empty. Now we'll create one. And to create the shared view, click on this new shared view icon. Now that will open the share view window. Now you can give it a name. You can select whether you want to share the current view only or all the views that this drawing has. Right now this drawing has multiple views, and I'm going to share all of those views. Also, if you want to share only 2D views, well, you can select this, and if you want to share object properties, then keep this checked, else you can uncheck these options. Now I want to keep these settings. I want these two checked, and also I want to share the model view as well as all the layout views. Now I'll click on share. And when this message pops up, click on proceed, and now the sharing process will continue in the background. You can see that using this animated icon right there on the bottom right side. So you can see that the sharing is in progress. Well, here it is, the icon. All right, the sharing is done. You can see this pop-up bubble. Now let's move this palette a little bit, and here we have a link. So click on this link and it will open the shared drawing or the shared view in the browser, the default browser, whichever you have. All right, there we have it. Now we are not currently logged into this account. You can see that I'm not logged into the account, the Autodesk account, but still I have access to the view. That's the initial 2D view. Here it is, the unsaved view, the lift lobby. That's a view which I've already created in the drawing and that is saved. The meeting room 1, the primary work area view. Also we have the layout views. If you have some layout views, that will show up right here. Right now I have an empty layout, so that will look like this, a completely empty area. Also we have the properties panel available. So here we have this properties, and now you can see the properties of your object simply by selecting them. For example, let's say that we want to select this lift object here. So there we have it. I've just selected that object. Now click on properties, and that will show the properties of the object, that particular object which I have selected. So you can see the color, the layer, A-lift, and lots of other properties which are related to that particular object. Well, you can also expand this palette if you want to see more properties directly. You can also select some other object and the property will change accordingly. So look at this, I've selected this line, now change to a shaft. Similarly, you have access to all the layers also. So click on layers tab here and now all the layers will simply show up. If you want to hide some of these layers, you can simply click on this eye icon that will hide the layers. And right now you can see that I'm doing all these things even without logging in my Autodesk account. So that's again a great feature which has been added here. But now if you log into your Autodesk account, you will get access to even more set of tools. So now I'll close this layers panel and I'll now sign in to my account. And now I'm logged into my account. You can see that I am right now logged into my account here, and now I have access to this tool here called markup. So now I can add markups. Also I can add comments. So let's see what these tools are. So I'll begin with this lift lobby. So just click on this lift lobby, that will take you to this area, and you can also go to other area, but for this example I'm just going to this option, the lift lobby. Now before adding markups, let's check some of the dimensions here. So I'll go to this measure, and now we have some options like distance, angle, area, and this calibrate option as well. Well, let's select distance. Now you can select 2 points and AutoCAD will automatically tell the distance between those 2 points. So in this case I selected those 2 points, and look at this, the approximate distance between those 2 points is 108 inches. You can see that this inch icon. Now if you don't want to see this distance in inches and rather you prefer the feet or maybe even millimeters or meters, then you can change the unit using this settings option. So go to settings and from the drop down change it to meters, and look at this, now we have the same value in meters. And if you want to see the same value in feet, well, change it to feet, and there we have it. So that's how you can change the units, but in this case I prefer decimal inches, so I'll keep that one. All right, now you can click on this icon once again to get rid of that. We also have an option called calibrate. So using calibrate option, you can tell AutoCAD to use a particular distance and use that as a reference. For example, in this case, you know that this length is actually 108 inches, but we want to tell AutoCAD that no, this distance is 10 feet. Instead of 108 inches, it is 120 inches. Well, if you want to do that, then select the calibrate option and define the new value. So I'll type 10, and right now this value is in feet, so you can see that this is in feet, so the value will be taken up as feet. So this distance will become 10 feet instead of 9 feet. Click on set calibration, and now all the distances will be shown up with the same kind of calibrated value. So now go to distance and let's measure this, and look at this, it's now 10 feet, and all the other values will also show up similarly. So if you select any other point, maybe these 2 points, well, that's approximately 6 feet 2 inches with respect to the newly calibrated drawing. So that's our calibrate value. Also, you can measure angle or area. So I'll select the area tool, and let's say that we want to find out the area of the lift. So I'll just make a box, and the area is 36 feet approximately. You can see that here on the tooltip. So that's how you can find different values. Now let's press escape to get rid of that measure tool, and now let's add some markups. Now here we want to add a lift here, and we want to tell the drafter that a lift should be added here. So for that I'll go to markup, and now this will give you access to all of these markup tools. I'll select this cloud and I'll make cloud here. Well, the thickness of this cloud is really very large. If you want to change that, then go to weight, change it to some other value. All right, now maybe I'll just get rid of this cloud. So select it and press delete. And now since you have already changed the weight, now you can create your own cloud with lesser cloud width like this. All right, so that's our cloud. Now let's add the text, and there it is. So that's our text. Also, if you want to reference this cloud with this text, then you can add the arrow and click here like this, and there we have it. So that cloud now references this text. Okay, so that's how you can add markups in the drawing. And if you want to change the colors of these markups, then you can also go to color option and select from the available options here. Now after adding the markups, you can save them as comments. So now I'll click on save, and look at this. So the new markup has been saved, and now this comment will also show up in the drawing. So let's get back to the drawing. And although right now this is completely empty, click on this refresh icon and that will refresh everything back here. So now we have the view, the shared view which we created, and also we have a comment. So click on that one comment and look at this. So we now have the markup. So you can see the markup right here in the drawing, and you can act on that markup, or if you want to see this markup in the browser, you can simply click on this view. That will open the markup. Once again in the browser, you can see the markup, all the comments and other things which are mentioned here. Then you can just resolve that markup and mark it as resolved. So right now I have got this markup. Let's mark it as resolved. So let's say that the drafter has added the lift, or he has supplied the required information whether he can add the lift or not, and if there are any problems with this change. So whatever that thing is, he has provided the information. Now after that, he'll mark it as resolved. So once that is resolved, it will simply disappear from this shared view. But it will not only disappear from this shared view palette right here in this AutoCAD, but it will also disappear from the online view. So right now you can see that it is still there, but if you refresh the browser, that markup will simply be gone. And there we have it. So you can see that we no longer have any comment, but we have now the resolved items here, and in the results section we have this comment here. So you can see that this has been now resolved. If you want to add any comment manually, then you can also go to the view and add your comments right here. If you want to share this link to anyone else, then you can get an online link also, and you can create that by clicking this icon, share. So once you click on that icon, you'll get this kind of link. Click on copy, and now you can paste this link anywhere to share this drawing, and you don't need to be logged into your Autodesk account to access the drawings. So I'll open this private window and I'll paste the link here, and look at this. Now I'm able to access this drawing. I have access to layers, properties, all the views and so on, including the measure tools. Although I don't have access to the markup or comments, I can see the comments still. If there are any comments, it will show up right here, but you cannot add your own comments without signing into the account. So you can sign in and add your comments, but still if there are any comments, you can see it right here. And once you make the changes, that change will also show up here in the same link. By default, the link will be active for 30 days, but you can extend that duration of the link using the shared views. So that was the enhancement in the shared view tool of AutoCAD 2019. AutoCAD has introduced a new feature called DWG Compare, and using this DWG Compare tool, you can compare two versions of the drawing and see the changes which were made in the respective version. So to explain this new feature, I'll go to this folder which I have on the desktop, DWG Compare, and I have two drawings here, Sample Office Plan and Sample Office Plan 1. Well, they are the two different versions of the same drawing. I'll open them both. So I'll open the first one, Sample Office Plan, and I'll also open the second one. Alright, and here we have it. So now we have both the drawings open here, and right now you can see that we have this as a Sample Office Plan 1. Well, we can get rid of this drawing, this is no longer needed, and here, and this is this drawing number 2. So there are some changes, although they might look like similar kind of drawings with almost everything quite same, but yes, there are some changes which were made in this drawing. And to highlight these changes, you can directly use the DWG Compare tool. So you can start the DWG Compare tool from the Collaborate panel. So here on the Collaborate panel, we have this DWG Compare tool. Alternatively, you can also go to this application button, and from here you can go to Drawing Utilities and DWG Compare, or you can use its command COMPARE compare. Alright, so let's just select this application button Okay, now this will open this DWG compare window, and right now you'll see two different colors here. The first one for DWG1, which is the drawing which is right now open, sample office plan. So that's the drawing which is open. Now to avoid the confusion, I'll open only one drawing and I'll close this second one. Now we only have the sample office plan, and let's repeat this. So go to DWG compare. Now we have this drawing which is on our desktop folder. You can see this is on the desktop folder right there. Now the color of this drawing is blue. That's by default here in this case, and that's the color which I set in the previous case. Now you can change this color also if you want. So maybe I'll just change it to green in this case, or cyan, whatever color you want to change it, you can just do that. Let's just keep magenta. Now for the DWG2, again, you can change the color if you want. Let's not change this. Let's keep it that way. And let's add the second drawing with which you want to compare this one. So click on this ellipsis, and we have it on the desktop, DWG compare sample office plan 1. Well, both of them now added. Let's click on compare, and when you do that, AutoCAD will compare the drawings and open an entirely new drawing. It will create a new drawing with the comparison. Now all the drawings which are gray in color are completely identical. There is no change at all, but the changes are highlighted within these revision clouds, these yellow revision clouds. Also, you can see that the drawing 1 changes are in magenta color, drawing 2 changes are in green color, and drawings with no changes, which are common to both without any changes, are shown in this gray color. Now if you want to hide the text, we have some option here like hiding the text. Right now the hatch is already hidden. If you want to bring it back, you can click on this. Hatches will be brought back to the drawing. You can click here to hide it. Also, we have this revision cloud which is made right around the changes. Well, let's click on this and it will hide the revision cloud. Still you will be able to see the changed object. Let's just keep it on for now, and let's look at the changes which we have here. So here we have this first drawing in which this part is available, but in drawing 2 this part is not available. So that's the difference here. Again, in this case, in the drawing 2, these drawings are available. So this green part is available only in drawing 2 but not in drawing 1. Here this is available in drawing 1 but not in drawing 2. So that's how you can identify it using these colors. Also, if you move to this area, well, look at this. We have 2 overlapping doors, and in this case this is the door which is available in drawing 1, and this green door is the one which is available in drawing 2. So in drawing 2 the door size has been increased. Also, you can see that this magenta door is overlapping the green door. If you want to change this in draw order, then click here. And look at this, the draw order has been reversed. So now the green door is overlapping the magenta door. So you can just click here on this box to toggle the draw order of both of these drawings. Also, we have the revision cloud obviously around the changes, but if you want to tighten this revision cloud and if you want to control the changed area more precisely, for example, in this case, a vague kind of revision cloud has been made, a random kind of revision cloud has been made, and the changes are only in this part and this part of the drawing, not here, but still a box has been made. Now to control this tightly, you can change this to polygonal, and now it will cover only the area where the changes have been made. Also, you can control this even more tightly by changing the margin. So I'm right now increasing the margin, and that will include more and more objects, and if you just decrease the margin, it will try to keep these clouds as close as possible to the changed object. Also, it will show you number of revisions. So right now we have 15 revisions in this drawing. You can toggle between different revisions by clicking on this next icon. So that will take you to the first revision, the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. So you can just keep on clicking and it will toggle through all the revisions or all the changes which are available in your drawing. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this is a new drawing which AutoCAD creates by comparing both these drawings. If you want to keep this drawing, then you can save it, and you can just click on the save icon and specify the location where you want to save it. Click on save, and that will be saved as a new DWG file. So let's just go to the desktop, and here we have it. That's the saved DWG file, which is the comparison of both the drawings. So that's our DWG compare tool. which is a completely new feature added in AutoCAD 2019.
So now you're familiar with the DWG compare feature, which is completely new to AutoCAD 2019. That's good. But Autodesk decided to improve this feature again in AutoCAD 2020 version. And now we have an improved form of this DWG compare tool. So to understand this tool, once again, I'll use the same set of drawings, the sample office and the sample office 1. So I've got once again this DWG folder here on the desktop with sample office plan 1, sample office plan. So first I'm going to open this sample office plan. And this is how your drawing is going to open. Pretty normal in this case. But now we'll use this drawing as well as sample office plan 1 and we'll compare both the drawings once again. So for that, I'll go to Collaborate tab and here I'll click on DWG compare tool. So this will open this select drawing window. You can select this DWG compare from here, or you can go to application, drawing utilities, DWG compare, or you can also use its command compare. In this case, I'll select DWG compare from here. Now I'll select sample office plan 1, open, and you will see this. So now instead of a new tab with DWG compare tools, we have this panel. Now if you don't see the panel here, that's also completely fine. If by default the panel is not visible, then you can click on this gear icon, which should be visible with this little panel right here. So just click on this gear icon and the panel will show up. Now let's see the improvements in this feature. So the very first improvement which you'll notice right away is the drawing in which this compared drawing is open. So now right inside this original sample office plan, I've got this compared drawing as well. AutoCAD will no longer open a completely new drawing just for making a comparison. Instead, it will show the compared drawing right inside the original file. Now, I'll go to this gear icon and here I have this panel, the compared panel, and in this panel, I'll click on this push pin to keep it here, because if you don't click the push pin and if you click somewhere else, this panel will disappear, so we want to keep it here. Now the second difference is obviously the wordings here. So it has been improved in a pretty day-to-day language style. So now we can clearly see that drawing which is red is not in the current drawing. Drawing which is green is in the current drawing. So simply just by looking at this, you can clearly say that red objects are not part of sample office plan, and the green objects are part of only sample office plan and they are not in sample office plan 1. Alright, and the gray ones, well, they are the drawings without any kind of difference. They're exactly the same in both the drawings. Here also we have all the same features. We have the text light bulb here. You can just activate or deactivate the text. Hatches, you can activate or deactivate, or you can also activate or deactivate the revision clouds. You can also change the type of revision cloud from rectangular to polygonal if you want, and you can also make them pretty tight or loose, just like this. So I'm going to change it to rectangular. Also, you can hide the compared part of the drawing just by using these light bulbs. So here it is. Now I'll move to this part of the drawing where we have these two compared doors, and as you can see here we have this red door which is part of drawing number 1, sample office plan 1, and the green door is actually part of this current drawing, sample office plan 1, because, well, as you can see here, it's color coded with green. So it's pretty obvious and it's kind of visible here, but if for some reason you have completely overlapping drawing objects, then you can also switch the draw order to see the overlapping drawings. For example, if you look at this door instead, you can only see this part of the curve, this part of the arc here, which is not very clear. So now if you want to change the draw order and if you want to bring this door on the top of this green door, then you can click on this draw order to bring it on the top, just like this. And now the red one is on the top, and now you can clearly see that this is the red door, which is not in the current drawing, but this is the one which we actually want, because this is obviously the door which looks kind of okay, not the green one. So I'm going to switch the draw order once again, and now look at this. This looks kind of broken here also. So maybe we just want to keep these doors instead of the green ones. Now, if you want to do that, then you can do that very quickly with a new tool here, and that's this one right here. We have this import object tool. So select import object tool and select the objects from the other drawing which are not available in this sample office plan. So you need to actually select the red objects. So I want to select this red door and this red door. Okay, and now these doors will be added inside the sample office plan. Similarly, in this case, these red objects are inside sample office plan 1 and they are not available in sample office plan. But if you want to insert these objects as well in the sample office plan, well, you can just select them, and I'll just select only 2 of these. And now when you press enter, these objects will be added in your drawing, and obviously their color will change to gray because now they are part of sample office plan, and also they are available in the sample office plan 1. So they are identical in both the drawings, so their color will be gray. Also, if you don't want to show the compared drawing here in the drawing area, then you can click on the slide bulb icon to turn the drawing comparison completely off. And now just by turning the drawing comparison off, you can see the changes. So these are the 2 objects which we imported here, as you can see here. And also if you go to this part of the drawing, look at this. We now have 2 doors. We have one of the door here, and this one is the imported door, the door which we actually imported from that second drawing. So I'm going to now erase this one, and also we have 2 overlapping doors. So I'm going to select this one and I'll delete it. All right, so now we just have these 2 doors, and let's make the comparison once again. So now I'm going to click on the slide bulb icon. This is what we have. These 2 objects, well, they're exactly here, and we don't have any kind of comparison here because now these 2 are identical in both the drawings. Finally, if you want to export this compared drawing as a different drawing, then obviously you have this option which is still here. So you can select this, click on continue, specify the location, and now the compared drawing, which is a completely new drawing, will be saved as a separate DWG file. So this is what you're going to end up with, a completely new drawing with these compared features and all. Once you are done making comparison in this DWG compare tool, you can click on this green check mark and it will take you back to the default drawing, just like this. So these are the new improvements, and obviously it will ease your workflow with the DWG compare tool. Now, apart from this, Autodesk also improved the cloud collaboration feature, and here Autodesk added support for some cloud tools like Dropbox, OneDrive, and Box. So now you can save your drawings directly on these cloud platforms. So if you click on Save As, AutoCAD will now show you the installed cloud tool. So I have OneDrive as well as Dropbox installed. So this is what I see here. So it will just show me the folders inside this, and I can directly save my files inside these cloud platforms. Also, I can open my files from these cloud locations. So I can click on open and it will still show me the cloud locations from where I can open the drawing. Just like every year, Autodesk also improved the performance of AutoCAD software. And one of the noticeable impact is in the installation time. So now on a SSD and even in HDD, I have also seen a significant improvement in the software installation time. So I actually have HDD and I tried installing AutoCAD 2020 and it was pretty fast. Also, the network time for XREF and blocks has been improved, and now Autodesk has faster network access time. And once again, 4K support has been improved, along with other security enhancements in the DWG file format. So these are some of the new and enhanced features in AutoCAD 2020.
So now we'll learn to modify and customize the user interface of AutoCAD, and here particularly we'll add our own tab and panels. Now, if you want to add your own panel on any tab like Home, Insert or Annotate, and you want to add your own favorite set of tools, then you can do that using the Customize user interface. Right now we have Draw, Modify, Annotation, Layers and so on, and these all panels are ready-made panels. But if you want to add a new one, maybe on Home tab with your set of tools, well, you can do that. Now to do it, you need to go to this Manage tab and click on this CUI icon, that is Customize User Interface. You can also use its command CUI and that will open this Customize User Interface window. Now don't get scared by the look of this window, it's quite easy. You need to figure out what you want to do and simply locate that option only. So right now we want to add some panels on the ribbon, so just go to the ribbon and expand it. And since we are now interested in panel, so I'll select panel. Now expand it again and we have all the panels which are right now available in AutoCAD. Well, we want to create our own, so right click on the panel and select new panel. Now I'll give it a name, so I'll name it as Source CAD and I'll click outside. Well, our panel is now added, but the panel is completely empty. You can see the preview of this panel, it's completely empty, we don't have anything here. We will now add our own set of tools here. So the first tool that I'll add here is construction lines. Well, that's something which I regularly use. So type that name in this command list. So I've just added this text construction and it will show me those commands. So we have this construction line. Well, right click and select copy. Now go to the panel. Now select the row in which you want to paste. In this case, we only have the one row, single row here. So right click, select paste. And the construction line tool is now pasted here. Just look at this. All right, let's add more tools here. Well, how about align? So we want this 2D align tool. So I'll just select it, right click, copy, row 1 and paste. And let's add one more tool here and I'll add the simplest tool here, that's circle. So let's say that we want to add the circle also. And in this case, I especially want to add this 3-point circle. So right click, select copy, row 1 and paste it. Well, we have the 3-point circle only that's added here. Now, since we have our panel, we can now add this panel to any of the tabs. And in this case, let's add it on the Home tab. So I have the Source CAD panel. Now right click, I'll select copy. Now I'll move up and I'll collapse these panels and I'll expand the tabs. Now we want to add it right here, but in the tabs we have a lot of different tabs. So we want to add it on Home tab. So I'll select Home tab of 2D workspace, right click, select paste. It's added right there in the end after clipboard. Well, we're happy with the changes. Let's click on OK. And that panel is now added. And look at this, here in the end we have this Source CAD panel with our selected set of tools. So we have now construction line. Well, you can select it, add your construction lines, you can add 3-point circles, and you can also add the align tool. Now that's how you can add your own panel with your own set of tools. But if you want to get rid of that, then once again you need to go to the same option, manage, CUI, and it's on ribbon, expand it, and we have created it in the panel. So expand the panel and simply erase the panel. So it's in the end here, that's the panel, select and delete it. So once you delete the panel, it will simply be removed from the tabs as well. So if you go to the tabs, you won't find your tab here. So let's click on OK. and go to home, and the panel is now gone. So that's how you can add your own favorite set of tools or your frequently used tools on any of these tabs, and you can arrange them on a panel. So that's a great customization feature which you can use in AutoCAD. Alright, so here I'm going to be explaining about the layer trans or the layer translator tool, and this tool is used to transfer the properties of one of the layer into another standard set of properties along with the name and other things. Now for this drawing I will use this floor plan drawing, and if you go to this layer drop down, you'll notice that we have some casually made set of layers, and we have named these layers according to the object which it contains. Now I want to transfer all of these names along with the colors and other properties into a standard set of rules, or into a very standard kind of naming convention, and for that I've already got a drawing which has all the standard names of layers and its properties, so I'll use that as a reference. Now to start the layer command, you can use layer trans command, or you can go to the manage tab and select this layer translator tool. So I'll select that. Now look at this, we have the list of all the layers which we have in this drawing, in this current floor plan drawing. Now I'll open the standard drawing, and for that I'll go to load, desktop. Here I have it in the 19 number folder, layer trans sample office plan. So this drawing has the standard set of layers, and look at this, the name of layers are now loaded. Now there might be similarities between both of these drawings, so let's first check the similarities. Now to map or to transfer the properties from similar layers, you can select this option, map same. Now it will automatically identify the same kind of layer. So look at this, layer 0 are obviously the same, and the color is 7, and all of these properties are like this. Now no matter what the properties of the original layer 0 is, its new properties are these. In a similar way, it also identified a new layer called dim, and this is the dim layer which is available in our drawing, in our floor plan drawing, but now the name is dim with all of these properties, and these properties as well as the name has been taken from this new drawing which we use as a standard. So that's for the common names. Now if you want to manually map them, then select the layer. For example, I'll select the door layer, and I'll select the respective door layer from here, and for that I'm going to use I-door. So we have it right here, I-door. Now select them both, the layer which you want to transfer and the layer which you want to use as the standard reference, and click on map. So look at this, now the door layer is gone from this list because it is now converted to I-door with these properties. In a similar way, you can transfer the properties of other layers. So I'm going to select window, and here I'll select win, and then map, then fern, and from here I'm going to select furniture, and again map. So we have enough number of mappings. Now let's select translate, and it will prompt you with these two options. So do you want to translate and save the mapping information, or you want to translate only? Well, in this case I'll simply translate that, and it's done. Now go to home tab, select the layer drop down, and look at this. So now things have changed. The dim layer has different color, furniture layer is added instead of fern. Also the door layer is now replaced with I-door, and we have this window layer with its different set of properties. You can see these properties here in the drawing as well. So that's how you can convert one set of layers into another using layer translator or the layer trans tool. Here I'll explain about action recorder tool, which is kind of an interesting tool in AutoCAD, and using this tool you can capture the activities inside AutoCAD and replay it whenever required. So for that I'll go to this manage tab, and right on this tab we have this action recorder panel which we'll need for this. Now in this case I'm going to record the actions of making a small nut, actually the top view of the nut. And for that I'll click on this record button. Now you'll notice that instantly we have on our cursor this red dot which indicates that now our actions will be recorded. So let's start with the polygon command. So I'll type POL and press enter. Now look at that, the first command is now added here. So the action is now recorded. Now you need to enter number of sides. So let's type 6 and enter. So the second action is also added in the action recorder right here. Now I'll click at a point, that's added again. And now you need to specify inscribed or circumscribed. I'll select inscribed. And then you need to specify the radius. Well, let's type 1 and we are done. So that's our hexagon. Now I'm gonna go to circle, enter, and once again I'll select the same center. So I'll exactly track these points and I'll click exactly at the center here. And now I'll add a radius of 0.5 right there. Now all of these actions are recorded. So we can go to this stop and click on stop, and now it will prompt you with a name. So let's name it as sample nut, and when you are done, click on OK. And look at this, the sample nut is now saved here. Now you can play your action. So let me first get rid of this, I'll delete that. And now we have the sample nut selected. I'm going to click on play, and look at this, we have our nut instantly made for us. And look at this, we have our nut inside the drawing area. Well, in this case it's not quite useful because we'll only get this nut exactly at the same spot, so it's kind of not very useful thing, but we can make it useful by changing some of the parameters. And if you want to do that, then you need to add some pause points. So here we have this action recorder. Let's select this coordinate. So this is the point which was actually the center point of our hexagon. So we just want to change that. So I'm going to select here and then right click, and I'll select pause for user input. Now from the next time onwards, AutoCAD will always prompt you with a point where you want to add this hex nut. So now I'll go to play, and look at this, it will prompt me for a point. So I'll click here, and right there it will make the nut. So you can click on play, click at a point, and you'll instantly get the nut exactly at the point where you click inside the drawing area. You can pause for more inputs as well. For example, you can change the radius of the circle, or you can even change the number of sides, you can change the radius of the hexagon, and so on. But for this example, I'll only pause that, and once you are done, you can deactivate this push pin, and now the sample nut will be automatically saved inside your drawing, and whenever needed you can use it. In this two-part video series, I'll talk everything about creating line type, modifying them, and using them in different drawings. So we'll learn about basic line types as well as line types with complex shapes, text, and other things. So let's get started. So first I'll talk about creating line types with the help of text and symbols. So I've got this completely blank drawing, okay, and I'll start with the standard text style. So we'll start with a multi-line text here. You can see that we have this multi-line text, and I'll use the standard text style which is already present in our drawing. So I'm not going to make any kind of modifications. Now I'll click here and I'll select multi-line text. Alright, let's make the text box and let's type A. Just a sample text here. Alright, we are done. Now let's add a couple of symbols here. So again, I'm gonna go to this multi-line text and I'll just make a box, and I'll go to this symbol option, other, and now from the character map, I'll select arrowhead type symbol, which is somewhere over here. So that's the symbol I'm going to select, and I'll click on select and copy and right click and paste. We're done. Let's make one more symbol here. So again, this time the same arrow but pointing to the other side. So again, symbol, other, and from the character map, select the similar kind of symbol which is pointing to other side, select, copy, close, and paste, and we are done. So now we have three different symbols. Let's use them, but before using them we need to make the line also. So let's make a line, and I'm going to make a line of length 1 unit. So 1 and enter. Okay, Now, first we need to make the shape of our single segment of the line type. And before doing that, I'll convert all of these mText objects into simple text, because the command which we use for making line type only recognizes the single line text, not the multi-line. So we need to ensure that these objects are single line text, not multi-line. So I'll select them all and I'll type X and enter. Now that will explode this, and it's now a simple single line text, not a multi-line text. If you hover your cursor, you'll notice that this is a text. Also, all of these are text. Now I'll select them all and I'll change the justification. So properties, and from this palette I'll go to justify and I'll change it to middle center. So that will help us in properly aligning this text on this line. So again, we have this middle center point. I'll select this. I'll move this one to the midpoint here. I'll select this one. I'll move it somewhere over here along this line, maybe here. And this one, again, I'll drag this and close to this point, maybe here. And there we have it. So it's not very precise. You can see that it's kind of not very precise, but you can change its position a little bit using move command to further modify this thing. Okay, and that's much better. Now I'll trim this part here. So let's make a rectangle first. So I'll just make a rectangle which is approximately like this, then trim, enter. I'll trim this part also, and this part also. Now we can delete this rectangle, and our segment for the line type is ready. Now we can use this single segment and we can make our line type. Now let's start making line type, and for that I'll use mkl type express tool. So let's type that and press enter. Alright, so now this will open the select line type file window. Here I'm gonna go to this desktop and I'll save this lin file. So this will create the .lin file or the line type file, and I'll save it on the desktop as first line. Alright, there we have it, and save. Now you need to name this line type. So let's name it as text arrow line. Okay, so TA line. Now in the description I'll type text and arrow line type and enter. Now starting point, let's select this one as the starting point and this one as the end point, and select all of these objects. These are the objects that will be converted to the line type. Enter. We are done. So now our line type is created. As you can see here, line type TA line is created and it's loaded as well inside this drawing. So let's check it. So I'll make a circle and I'll make a line just inside this one. All right, now let's select this. I'll go to this properties, the drop down, and here we have the TA line. Look at that. So now it's applied here. You can change the scale here. So right now you can obviously see that this thing is kind of very cramped here. So I'll just increase the size, maybe a little bit like this. Okay, and there we have it. We can also delete this. This is no longer needed. And that's our line type. Let's try that on this line. So maybe we'll just move this line outside here, and I'll increase the length a little bit like this, and from this drop down I'll change it to this, and look at that. So it's now applied here. So this is how you can change your line types, and you can make your own line types and you can apply them on different drawings. All right, so in this case we've made line type using text and symbol. Now let's talk about making line types using shape. So when you want to make complex line type, you need to involve some other shapes other than line. For example, arcs. If you want to involve them, then you need to convert that into a shape, and then you can use those shapes to make the line type. Just to make things clear, I'll make a shape, a very simple one. So I'll just go to rectangle and I'm going to click at a point and I'll make a rectangle of approximately this size. All right, now circle, and I'll make a circle here and another circle here. Okay, then trim, enter. I'll trim this part. All right, and I'm I'm gonna explode this one. So I'll select it all, X, enter, that's exploded. Okay, so exploded, everything is now exploded. All right, now let's add a couple of segments. So I'm gonna go to this midpoint, and here I'll add a distance of 0.2 like this. Now this distance is kind of very small, so I will change the size of this complete segment except this one. So I'll just delete this. Instead I'll select it all, this one, and I'll change its size. So I'll go to scale, any point, and I'll change the scale to maybe 0.3. Now that looks good. All right, again I'll go to line, this midpoint, and now the distance is, well, 0.25. Let's make it 0.25 in this case, and that looks much better. Again to this side, 0.25, so 0.25 and enter. There we have it. Now we need to make a line type with this kind of repeating pattern. Now in this case, you can obviously see that we have different objects. If you want to include text inside this, you can do that. That's obviously something you can do. You can add symbols as well in this drawing to make it complex. But in this case, I'll simply make our line type using this single segment and the repeating pattern of this. Now to begin with, we need to make the shape file. And to do that, you need to use MK Shape Express tool. So let's use that. That's for make shape and enter. Again, we have select shape file option here, this window. You need to specify the location where you want to save the SHP file. In this case, it will create this shape file. So let's name it as pill shape. It's kind of pill shaped object. So we'll just name it like that and save. Once again, we need to name it. So let's name this shape pill. All right, and enter. Now the resolution value, I'll keep that default 128. And base point, this is the base point. Now select objects, all of these, and enter. We are done. The shape with name pill is now created. Let's insert that shape. So to insert that, you need to use command shape and press enter. Now you need to type the name of that shape. So I'll type PILL, that's pill, and enter, and look at that. Here we have it. Now you can clearly see that the arcs on the top and bottom of this pill shape are not quite clearly visible. They're kind of jagged in shape. If you want to enhance its resolution, then at the time of making this shape, you can increase the resolution value, which we set as 128. So you can obviously enhance the resolution value, but that will slow the performance. So you can make a compromise between performance as well as the display quality. In this case, I think that this kind of resolution is fine with me, because at a zoomed out scale that will obviously look good. So that's fine with me. So I'll just place it exactly overlapping the original object. And I'm doing this on purpose because if you place it somewhere else, then you won't be able to take reference of this shape, because in case of shape, you won't be able to snap to midpoint, endpoint, or any other snap points. So those points won't be visible. So we need to ensure that this overlaps the original shape. So here it is. Now height, well, 1, enter. Rotation angle 0, and enter. There we have it. So now we have original drawing and another overlapping shape over that. So our shape is prepared, and now we can convert this shape into a line type. So again, to make this, to convert this into a line type, we'll use MKL type express tool and enter. Now, in the previous case, we used this first line type. In this case, let's name it as shape line. Okay, that's a different line. You can clearly see that it's on the desktop, and save it. Now we need to enter the name of this. So pill LN, okay, maybe pill N, okay, and enter. Now the description, pill type, line type, and enter. Now starting point, and that's where you'll find this thing really very helpful, because now we have overlapped this shape over the existing drawing. It will actually recognize the points of that underlying object, not the shape. So we have this endpoint of that underlying object. So here we have it, the starting point, and let's click here. Now ending point, which is over here. All right, now we need to select the objects. So to select the objects, you need to just click here, and this will open this kind of window. In this case, I have this kind of window which is allowing me to select overlapping objects. Well, this is called selection cycling, and using this I'm able to select shape or the line. We need to select the shape, so I'll select shape. If you don't have this selection cycling box, then go to this customization and activate selection cycling. Once it is active, go to the status bar and select this selection cycling. So this should be active if you want that selection cycling dialog box. All right, so that's now selected. Press enter. There we have it. So pill N line type is now created and loaded. Let's use that line type as well. So we can just delete this segment. It's no longer needed. And let's make a circle, maybe a line as well. There we have it. Now select, go to the properties, pill N, and look at that. So that's our line type with custom shape. Here also. So that's how you can create line types with symbols, text, and custom shapes. So in the next video, we'll discuss everything about creating the line type using the lin files directly. So these are the lin files. We'll learn about them, and we'll also learn about exporting these line types into different drawings and modifying these line types and shape files. Alright, so by now I believe you already know about making line types using symbols, text, complex shapes, and so on. Now let's talk about creating line types using the lin file. So in the previous video, we learned about creating line types, which we have added here. So look at that. In this case, we have these custom line types. So PI lin and TA line. So these are the line types which we created. These are the custom line types. Now, when we create these custom line types, AutoCAD automatically creates some files for us. So this was the first line which we created, and when you create that first line, AutoCAD automatically created this lin file. You can open this lin file using Notepad. So right click and go to open with, select Notepad, and OK. There we have it. So that's your lin file. Okay, so it has a lot of information which is kind of very different at this point. So we'll learn about this, and we'll learn about the meaning of all of these things in a moment. Now also we have this shape file. So when you open the shape file, once again using this Notepad, you'll notice that it also has some sort of information like this. Okay, so this also contains the information. This is the name of this shape and so on. So we'll learn about using these things here. So first, let's talk about line types and creating line types using these lin files. So again, I'll go to this drawing where we already have these two line types. Now let's create a very simple line type, and for that I'll use the text. Again, in this case I'm using the standard text style, and I'll type A and just a single line of length 1 unit. There we have it, and I'll just place it exactly at the center. So I'll select it, then explode. You already know that we need to explode the text because the make line type command is going to recognize only the single line text, not multi-line text, which you can convert. I mean, you can convert a multi-line text into single line using explode command. So that's what I did. So I'll select this, then right click, properties, then here we have this. From the justification section, I'll change it to middle center. There we have it. Now this will allow us to place this thing properly on this line because we have this grip. So I'll just place it on this midpoint, and let's trim it. So let's make a circle to create a gap, and then using that gap I'll trim it. So I'll trim this. Now we don't need this circle. There we have it. Now let's convert this one into a line type. Okay, that's the simplest kind of line type you can get here. So again, MKL type, and press enter. All right, so this was the first line which we created. Okay, so first line, well, let's select this one. Okay, the first line, and I'll click on save. So now AutoCAD will prompt you with this kind of message. It's just prompting you that it's about to replace this existing file, but it won't do that. Actually, it will just append to that, and it will add the extra lines here. So that's what we want. So I'll simply hit yes. All right. Now you need to enter the line type name. So let's name it as ALN or A line and enter. Now the description and enter. Now starting point is this, ending point is this. Select objects. Well, I'll select it all and enter. That's it. A line is now added. Let's test this one. So circle. There we have it. And let's see, here it is, A line. Look at that. So that's added also. Now let's go to this line type file and let's see if we can recognize any pattern here. So I'll go to this first line. Okay, I'm opening this one with the help of a notepad. Now look at that. TA line is the already existing line, okay, that we already saw, and now A line is the line which we just now created. So now this file contains two different line types. Okay, let's add a space here so that you can clearly recognize this. Now let's talk about this one. This one is easier to understand. So, well, this is how this file works. So the new line type always starts with this asterisk, then the name of line type, which is A line in this case. Now that is followed by this description. So we have the asterisk, name of the line type, and the description, obviously separated by a comma. Now in this second line we have this A, and A indicates the point where the actual line type starts. So this is the point where the line type actually starts. So now the line type starts here with the length of 0.318385. Well, let's understand what this thing is. So I'll just go to this one and I'll make a straight line and I'll apply the line type here, the simple one, A line. All right, now in this case the first length is actually half of this length. Okay, so the distance between this point and this point is, well, this tiny distance, 0.318385. okay, now after that we have this comma and then this negative value. Well, the negative value indicates the gap. So now the amount of gap here is actually equal to these many units. Okay, and that's in the same unit in which our drawing is. So that's the gap. Now inside this square bracket we have the text and all the information related to text. So the text starts with this square bracket and then A. A stands for the text which we have here, that's this one. Then we have the text style standard. So now that's the name of text style. So in every drawing you'll obviously find this standard text style. Generally that's the case. So that's why I have not changed the text style. If you change the text style, if you use any other text style, which you can, and obviously you should use your own text style, then you need to ensure that you use that particular text style in every other drawing where you want to import the line types. Now in this case the standard text style is already here. Okay, now this Y is the offset value along Y axis. Well, we'll see that in a moment what this thing is. Then the scale. All right, the scale of this text 0.2, and then this upright value. Well, we'll look at that also just in a moment. Okay, now going to this one, and again we have the gap indicated by the negative value, and again we have this thing, the positive value, which is the segment length, and after that the pattern repeats from here. So again the pattern repeats, then this length, gap, text, and gap. All right, and that's what this thing means. All right, now using this we can make a new text style, and we don't need to go to this drawing and create a new one. Let's try a new text style. So I'll copy this complete line here, the two lines, and I'll paste it here. Now let's name this line as B line, and we'll leave the same description here. Now A, pen down, or the point from where our line starts, let's leave these distances same, and here I'll type B. All right, standard is the text style. If you want to change that, you can change it here. And offset value, I'll leave that. Scale, I'll leave that. Now let's delete this value, this upright value of 0. I'll just delete that. I'll show you what that thing is. Now with these values, I'll also leave these values and I'll just save this file. So now in this file, we have 3 different line types. Let's insert that line type inside this drawing. So we just have these A line, PILLN and TA line types. We have these 3 custom line types. To insert that one, we need to use LT command. So LT and press enter. And now click on load, file, locate the file. On the desktop, we have this first line, open. Now look at that. We now have 3 different line types. So B line is the line type which we just now created. So I'll select that and I'll click on OK. And that's added here. So OK again. Now let's add one more circle. And maybe we'll just delete this one. And I'll apply that line type here. Okay. So here we have it. Now you can clearly see that the text here is A, here it is B. The size of this text is, the size of this segment is almost same. It's exactly the same, but we deleted the upright value. Now, since we deleted the upright value, there should be some difference between these two, and there is a difference. Just look at the text here in this case. A is always upright, no matter where this is. So this is upright, and after this point, again, it is upright. But look at the B here. So this one is upright, but not the text here. So it is now rotating to an angle of 360 degrees, and it will just follow the complete rotation, or it will just follow the path here. You can just understand this one clearly using the example here. So I'll just make a rectangle. I'll copy this. Okay, now let's apply the A line type, here the B line. Okay, now this is upright, this one is upright. Just look at these two, they are in the same direction, but not in this case. This one is upright, not this one. Okay, so that's the difference between the upright value. Also, the Y offset value will actually decide the offset value along this direction. So in this case, you can clearly see that the text is exactly at the center. But if you want to move this text a little bit upwards or downwards, you can add any value to tweak the settings properly here. Also, you can tweak the settings along this direction using another X coordinate value, which is not there. So you can add another X value to tweak that distance or that gap. So now you just saw that you can import any line type in AutoCAD using the LT command. All you need to do is type LT, then click on load, click on file, and select that one, select that line type and load it inside your drawing. Well, that's quite easy. But if you want to do that for shape files or the line types containing shapes, then things will be a little different in this case. So let's open a new drawing. Now in this case, we'll try to import the line type containing shape. So again, LT and load, file. Now this is the shape line type. Let's try that. Open, and we have an error. Bad definition on line 2 of this file. Well, that bad definition error is just because of the line type and the shape which is used inside that. So currently this drawing has no shape file in it, but the line type which we have there is using a shape file. Let's open that line type. So here we have the shape line. Look at that. In this case, the PILLN line type is using this shape file of name PILL. Well, we don't have that shape file anywhere, so we need to first make sure that this shape file is added. Now to do that, we need to follow a couple of steps. So we have this shape file, so first we need to convert that into NSHX file. Now to do that, we'll compile the file. So let's type compile and enter. Now select the shape file. I'll go to desktop, build shape and shape file and open. And there we have it. So that compilation is successful and a shape file or SHX file is now created here on the desktop, although it was already present because it was already compiled. But if it is not there, you need to first compile it. Now we have the shape file which you can insert inside your drawing. So now let's just do that. So you can insert the shape file using load command. So I'll type load enter. Here's the pill shape and open, and it's now loaded here. Now let's check the name of shape file. So I'll just go to this pill shape and open with Notepad, and its name is pill. So that means this pill shape file is now added. Okay, let's add it here. So since we have that file here inside of a drawing, let's type shape, enter, and now it should be able to add this pill shape. So pill, enter, look at that. So now the pill shape is added here. I'll simply press enter and enter again to insert inside of a drawing. So I've added this thing deliberately. There is a reason why I did that, because once you add that shape file inside your drawing, you are now ready to import your shape file. So you need to just make sure that you at least enter your shape file once inside your drawing before you actually import the line type. So now let's import the line type. So LT, enter, load, file, shape line, open, and look at that. Without any error, we have the line type right here. So okay, that's added, and okay again. Okay, let's apply this line type and let's see whether it is working properly or not. So here we have the circle, this one, and yes, it is. It's working perfectly in any drawing. So these are some extra steps which you need to always follow in order to insert any line type containing shapefile. So you need to first compile the shapefile into a SHX file, then insert the SHX file using load command, and thereafter you need to insert the shapefile at least once, and then you can add your line type using LT command and just by adding the line type file.